I'll try to do my best here. Wanted to talk about money again, just because it's one, it's a hot topic. Two, it's very broad, so it gives me content to talk about. So let's just get into it. First of all, what do we need money for typically? When we think about needing money, um, I think the need for money sometimes motivates people. People think about it, they might think, okay, I need money to go to university, all right, or I need money to pay for college, to get a full-time job, they go to college, or whatever the deal is. When I was younger, I noticed some people were really happy working. Like they were more happy working than they were going to school, and if they did go to school, it was like part-time. But they really enjoyed working. They love the gossip, they love the stories every day. That workplace became their lives. I couldn't do that really. You know what I mean? I'll be honest. I really enjoyed my first job. I was 15 years old, and it was cashier for a grocery store. Well, I'm dealing with cash here. You know what I mean? I never really had any issues with the cash. You know what I mean? Everything was organized. It wasn't that hard of a job. You just got to pay attention and not fall asleep. But the change goes in the change section. There's a section for different coins and for different bills. At the end of the night, you collect your stash and you take it in, and then they count it up, and then they check your score. And if you were they check if you're on point. If you're on point, it's totally fine. So that was my first job. Now, I'll be honest, I did enjoy that job. I really did enjoy that job. I didn't get into work politics at all. I didn't. I mean, I was there. I was polite. I would chit chat very little, but I was polite. I mean, I'd say hello to whoever came by me. To be honest, that's one thing people really loved about me. When I became like about 15, 16 years old, I said hello to everyone. If somebody was familiar, like even if I was walking somewhere and I saw somebody many times, I would say hello. People would get really happy, like people really loved it. But the thing with me was I would never stay to chit chat. So I would say hi to everybody, but I wouldn't hang around to talk to them. Even at this job, I wouldn't talk to anybody, but I said hi to everybody. But obviously, the way it was set up back then was that one lane had two cashiers, one on each side. So every now and then you say, how's it going? So what's going on? I mean, when there was no lineup, you would chit chat a bit, but most of the time you had to be on your job, right? And but I'll tell you what I liked about that job was the fact that it was locally in the community. So I would recognize people that I had been to elementary school with, for example, or middle school with. And they would come and they would say hi and stuff, and they would come with their mom or dad or whatever, and they'd be getting groceries. It was a grocery store, by the way. I love that. I saw a lot of people, and then people would tell me, oh, I'd open my MSN Messenger, and one of my old contacts would say, I saw you on your break sitting outside of work. You're taking your break or whatever. Oh, cool. You should have said hi though. No, I love that job. I love that job. And one of the things that I loved initially was taking Red Bull. Red Bull had just become popular at the time, and I think I never heard about it before, but I had school also. So one day I went to gym class, and I had gym in the morning. I think it was first or second period, and I just downed the Red Bull, and it was incredible. I mean, I was sweating a lot, but it was incredible. I mean, my focus had just shifted and become so amazing. I mean, that was the peak of my life. That was at 15 years old, just before prior to turning 16. I had my growth spurt, and I started experiencing the best moments of my life, and then I fell back. But that was the closest I had ever gotten to breaking out of that shell, and that was the closest I had gotten. I couldn't. I mean, there was nothing that would stop me. Okay, I was bold enough to become extroverted if I needed to. I was bold enough to start working hard if I needed to. I was bold enough to perform or take risk or whatever it was. But for some reason, it was so powerful. The shell that I was in was absolutely so powerful. I mean, I was just like, I had no idea why, but it was extremely powerful. It was like beyond even the things that we think are beyond. It's beyond that. But that was the closest I ever got, and those were the best days that I ever enjoyed in my life at the same time. Then I just fell back. But I think that's why these days I feel good, because I feel like I'm pretty much past that point. You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel good about where I am in my life, status wise, net worth, and everything. I am glad about that. But I gotta say, I'm not exactly in the best situation right now where I'm living, how I'm living, what I eat, and yeah, I mean, all that stuff. It's not really, it's not the type of situation that would make a person happy. But on the flip side, it's the type of situation that could potentially make a person stronger, in many ways. So, anyways, so yeah, that was my best point. That was my highest point. After I left that job, I later on I got another job. I was 16 at the time. I got a job at Best Buy. This time I was working in West Toronto, and I mean, it was fine. It was fun. I I don't know, man. I had heard of a lot of people telling me apply at Best Buy. Best Buy is the best. Blah blah. Blah. It was just I was just like. It's like, man, what is this place? I mean, I lied in the interview to get the job. I claimed to be a gamer and all that stuff. And I wasn't a gamer at all. I didn't play any video games, or rarely, I'd stopped playing video games at that age. And I lied about that. They put me in the media section where you have the video games and all that. I just get out of there, go here and go there and whatever. The job didn't last that long. But, yeah, by that point, life just went back to sucking. Yeah, I mean, I would just go forward and I just fall back. This is the first time that I've held firm day after day, and that's only because I've broken out of the shell. That's only natural. You know what I mean? I can only go forward. I can't fall back. You know what I mean? No matter what situation it is, I'm not falling back. I'm always gonna be going forward, regardless. So yeah, that was my experience with money, and literally too, because people would pay me cash, people would pay me credit or debit, and whatnot. I found out rules that I didn't know. I didn't know that one day a native lady came, and she buys this stuff, and she said, "This is my native card or whatever," and I was like, "What is that?" She said, "I'm not supposed to pay tax." I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah," and then I'm like, I'm like worried. Like I used to get really worried when I was on the job. If there was something that was an issue, it would really get me. I get like hyper tense, in my mind. Like, what the hell should I do? What the hell should I was very performance conscious for some reason. I would get really nervous. Like, even if I was gonna go play basketball, and if there were people watching me, I would get nervous. You know what I mean? Like, it would actually make me nervous. And I was nervous at the job because you'd have a lineup, and I didn't want to take too. You know what I mean? So I'm like, and it's a busy time. I'm like, oh shit, what should I do? So I'm looking at the card. I'm looking at stuff. I'm ringing my bell in my head to figure out how to do this, because I was never taught that in the training. So I'm looking, and the training was only two shifts, by the way. It was two shifts, and they trained you, but it's called a traineeship. But I'm like, look, I'm like, how the hell do I do this? So luckily we had a phone, and you can call. The supervisor sat in the cash office, so you call the supervisor, say, okay, I'll come over, and say, okay, it's a good thing you did that, because we haven't taught, and you obviously don't know that. And they showed me there was a whole process just for that, and that was to take out the tax that they were supposed to be exempt from. And she had her Native Indian card. She was Native Indian. I enjoyed that experience. So I found out something that I didn't know. It was cool to work in the grocery store, because, like, I mean, people were buying produce, so I was learning about stuff that I didn't know, and people would be cooking, and they telling me what they're cooking with meat and stuff. And I was the type, I might not always initiate chit chat, but if somebody starts chatting with me, I would kind of conversate back. But like I said, I fell back from that. A few years down the road, and I had no conversational skills anymore. I totally moved away from that. So, that's a problem. You're level 1. You're only focused on one thing at a time. You know what I mean? You got to be multidimensional in this world if you want to actually succeed. Past the bare minimum, you got to be able to run like 3 or 4 different dimensions at different levels, or at higher levels at one time. You know what I mean? Simultaneously. But anyways, that was my first experience. I was getting paid there. I was working. I was handling cash. I was handling credit cards and debit cards. I don't know about it anymore, but back then at the grocery store, we used to sell cigarettes. Um, yeah, we used to sell cigarettes, and we had to ID people, and we were selling all the typical brands of cigarettes, cigarette packs. So that was the deal, also. Um, yeah, that's it, and that's all it really. Yeah, that's all it really is. What else is there? Oh, sorry. Okay. Then I learned to spend my own money. So what was I doing? Typically, I love buying something at work. When I go for a shift, I was a big I didn't used to drink pop at all, and I was a big juice person. So and I was working in the summertime. So in the summertime, I'm a big I need mango and all these exotic fruits, watermelon and all that. So I would get something like that, right? And I would get myself a chocolate bar. I was happy. You know what I mean? A chocolate bar and something like that. I finish my shift and I go home and I eat something. Yeah, yeah. Or I buy more stuff. Anyways, it's you know, it was a good experience. I started buying clothes also. I bought my own clothes and everything. And I was told, I still remember I had a gym teacher, man. I remember he told me one day I was wearing a Scarface shirt and with the Al Pacino name, and he goes, you look. Anyways, aside from that, I I wore this red shirt that I apparently still have till today, which is crazy. Do I have it? No, I may not have it anymore. But it was a really nice shirt, and didn't even cost me much. But it was really nice. Everybody would say how nice it was, man. Everybody would say how nice it was. Um, but that was my first experience. Now, I haven't talked that much about money at all. You gotta remember, sometimes when people put up videos and they do speeches on money, it takes like 2 to 3 hours, okay? All right, so this has only been 12 minutes so far. Um, I think that's good enough. I'll start another video later on, and we'll try to get something going.